Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. We're going to play through HEXplore It, the Valley of the Dead King. We're continuing our journey, which has led us all the way up here to a northeastern point of the map, where we are currently sitting on a quest, and that quest is actually this quest arc right here that we've been trying to go after. Now, at the end of the last video, and that's where this is going to pick up, we essentially had finished off the Dead King's turn. So we'd done the Dead King, we went ahead and moved the market, all that kind of stuff. Now, the one thing I was pondering at the time was whether or not I wanted to go ahead and potentially use the Aeon's astrolabe in order to do an additional movement as well as an event phase. Now, what this would allow me to do is essentially it would allow me to give me another shot at trying to succeed at this without wasting time having the Dead King get another turn. But before we do that, because that's what I plan to do, one correction I want to make, and that is in terms of teleportation runes. Now, they're used during the movement phase, so I couldn't have, in the past video that you watched, the last part of this one, I couldn't have used it in the same turn when I moved and completed a quest. I would have had to go through another whole turn, which means technically the Dead King actually isn't here, and the Dead King would have advanced another round. So, in order to be fair, so that I'm not gaming the game essentially and putting myself into a situation where I have an advantage, I'm going to activate the Dead King again, and I'm going to activate the Black Market again, and we're going to go through those phases. So the very first thing we're going to do is just have the Dead King activate, and we know his movement is 4. And so this movement is going to have the Dead King go 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's actually going to land on this city. And by doing so, he is going to take that city and it is going to fall. So that's not good, because the cities are starting to become sparse, and we really are going to have to start dealing with these because they're going to come back to haunt us. So the Dead King has taken this city, and of course what comes with a city removal, or when a city is fallen, is his speed now increases even more. So he's at a movement of 5 now, which is extremely high. So we're going to get to a point here in the game where we are likely going to end up facing the Dead King, because we do have, and have had for a while, the talisman, which I will use at some point here in order to reclaim a fallen city. At least now we at least have one close by to us. That makes sense. So for now, we have only 2 more options for the Dead King for him to take, and that's city number 5, and this one up here is city number 3. Once those 2 cities are taken, then he's going to come full bore at us. But let's go ahead now and start with our turn. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to talk about the, at the beginning of this video, I did a little talk there about the astrolabe. And what I'm going to do is kind of reverse time, because now at this point, I got feedback from the designer in the last video saying that I can go ahead essentially and use this particular treasure card. As you can see, it has a point halfway through it where it says in doing, or let me actually pick it up right from where it is. It says, in addition, this item may be used twice per game in order to grant the group an extra movement and event phase. In doing so, the group may move again and complete one event at the new location. So I want to do this again, and when this happens, you actually have 2 uses of this before it disappears. And it can be used anytime out of combat. So I've always had this, this die right here, always placed on that particular card. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to tick this die down to 1, because we only have 1 more use of it before it basically evaporates on us. But I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I can do another movement phase as well as another event phase. So in the movement phase, I'm going to be going ahead for sure and camping, because I think that makes the most sense. Now, the coolest thing with camping is it gives you a -1 modifier. On top of that, you heal 3 extra health and energy this turn when you camp. So thanks to the astrolabe, that's actually going to help us, because it's going to get our vitals back up. Now, in the last video, if you guys remember, we talked a little bit about whether when your vitals increase and things like that, whether they increase in sync with the actual maximum values. So in cases where you get power-ups, they do increase, but in cases where I had a effect or an affliction basically take away or affect my vitals, when I go back to the norm, which was 8 in the last video, my vitals don't just automatically jump back to 8. So that's something to note. But right now, because we're camping and deciding to camp, I do gain 3 back on what I'm lacking, and that is going to be energy. It would be health as well. but I'm only lacking in the energy department, so that's going to go up to 6, so that's good. It's kind of like getting a little bit of a free rest there, so it's useful in that regard. So this is another reason why using it right now is a good idea. So we got that out of the way, and with a typical camp, you heal 3 extra health and the energy as we just did, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna roll the Explore and Survival with a -1 bonus. And in addition, the only thing we'll be dealing with this astrolabe is an event phase, which will allow us to basically try to take on this quest again. But first we have to deal with the rolling of the dice for a typical movement phase. So we're going to have to roll our blue and yellow die for each of our characters, remembering that we also get a -1 for our helpful commoners. So technically it's -2 for both of these dice, which gives us a much better chance of succeeding. I got a hex on that one and a 5 on this one. So you know what? That is actually going to have us succeed on both of those checks. So that's fantastic. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to roll a yellow and a blue. We got a 10 and an 8. That is going to be a massive fail. So our Guardian Clarissa did a fantastic job, but our Summoner definitely did not pull her weight. So let's go over here and talk about the Explorer. So the first off is we got the hex. So that's great. And if that's the case, we actually would regain 1 lost health because we basically got a hex and you find an excellent place to camp and you gain health. But the downside is we're already maxed on health, so that hex doesn't really help us, sadly. However, it does give us 2 gold. So we're going to actually increase our health, or our gold, I should say, by 4 because we have this wonderful Enhancifier, which has been helping us all the way along. So we're going to go from 8 up to 12 on the Guardian. So that's pretty awesome. And then we're going to go ahead and not have to consume any food, thank goodness, because we don't have that much. And we need to focus on doing that as soon as we can get our quest turned in. My aim is to get to the town and buy some food and get our guys back, our girls, I should say, back up. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the Summoner, who failed both checks, or both of these. So no gold for the Summoner, but is going to have to consume some food while we were there. So we're going to have to go down here, and we're going to knock this from a 2 down to a 0. So as of right now, technically, we have no more food available for our Summoner. All right, so we're into dangerous territory there. Okay. Oh, and one other thing, just trying to remember here. Actually, you know what? And in addition, I forgot, guys, we have camping gear. So when we have camping gear, we gain 1 health and 1 energy. So actually, our energy, because in addition to the 3 we just got, we get an extra 1 because we have camping gear. So our energy is actually even higher and almost to max here for both of our characters. So that is going to conclude the movement phase from the astrolabe. And again, this is kind of a different turn because it only involves the movement phase and the event phase when you use this astrolabe ability that I just did. And I am doing it kind of in reverse order because this would be occurring more so in the last round of the last video, if that makes sense. Because I was debating whether or not I wanted to go ahead and use this, and once I got some feedback from the designer, they basically said like it would be a good time to do that because we still have the helpful commoner with us and we get a -2 on our rolls. So this is the fun part. We're moving into the event phase now after using the astrolabe, and we can go ahead now and try to successfully actually beat this particular quest. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to defeat the quest. So the quest is that we need to basically get 1 success across 2 dice. So over here, the Guardian needs a 3, but thanks to the -2, we could take a 5 or lower, and we succeed. Over here with the Summoner, we take a -2, so it can be a 4 or lower. So that's kind of what we're looking for across both of these characters, and if that doesn't work out, well, that's unfortunate. So let's go ahead with the Guardian here and roll, and hope for the best here. Please work. Yes! So we got it. All right, so we're okay there. And it really doesn't matter what happens. We might as well not even roll. Well, I guess we can roll it for fun. Oh, we got a 2. So we definitely passed it. We even got 2. So we over-succeeded on that check. So that's awesome. Thank goodness that actually worked out. So basically, we have actually completed this second card now. So this has actually been completed. Now, we didn't get a... oh, actually, you know what? We did get a critical success. Because, and this is the reason why rolling both dice is important. This one over here got a 5, but it's -2, so it's a 3. That's not a critical success. But a 2 rolled, take away 2, is a 0, that would be a hex. And so that is a critical success. So our summoner just gained 3 gold, and when we gain 3 gold because of our enhanced fire, we gain 6. So our summoner, even though it didn't find gold during the movement phase, just found 6 gold while going ahead and completing that survival quest. So that's pretty awesome. All right, so wow, that was really good. That turned out all right. What else do we get from this thing? So we basically were testing our strength, agility, and fortitude here. And the local lord was organizing a tournament, and we dealt with it no problem here. So now that we've completed this, we can actually flip this over, and it's considered a completed quest. We can take a look at the other quest that we already completed, which we can just remind ourselves of what it was. Way back, we completed this one here. It's going to give us a power card and things like that. So we got one that's going to give us a power card. We have another one that's going to give us a power card. And then on top of it, we have the quest art card, and it says draw initial 2 quests, which are these 2 right here. We dealt with both of those. Flip them over on top, blah, 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 for your first quest. We already did that. You must complete each quest before you can turn the arc. Okay, now we can try to turn in the arc. The quest arc and all attached quests count as 1 quest at turn in. That's cool. When you turn in the arc, collect the bounty for each quest card, including the bounty for the arc itself. Look at the gold, guys. This is going to be crazy. So we've got 3 quests in a stack arc that are basically all going to be cashed in at the same time. On top of this, on top of the fact, we have the helpful commoner, which is we keep this card until we return to a city, and if the helpful commoner is still alive, you'll gain double the rewards for each quest you turn in. I don't know about you guys, but we're about to get extremely rich and very powerful very quick, and that's awesome. The combo worked out perfectly. Quest arc worked out perfectly. So, I mean, it's a good time, because the way the Dead King is moving around here and taking over fallen cities, we're going to be dealing with him very soon. So, again, just to conclude this Astrolabe's kind of ability that we just used, it does say here that we used it for its extra movement, we used it for its extra event. In doing so, the group may move again and complete one new location. This power may be used anytime. So again, this is not going to trigger a normal Dead King movement turn or anything else. So we're okay there. One thing I'm actually it's just coming back to me. I didn't roll for the black market, and the black market should have moved. When I went ahead and moved the Dead King here for my goof up in the last video, I should have also rolled for the black market. So let's do that now, because it doesn't really affect gameplay too much, but we need to do it because it might actually move him somewhere useful. We got a 4, so he's going to be moving actually the opposite way from us. How far away? 5. Oh my gosh, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if anything, that made things worse for us, because now the black market has basically run away. Okay, so now we're finally squared away. We're kind of starting at the beginning of a normal round. Now we're not playing in reverse, we're not clearing up mistakes, and we're not using the Astrolabe. So everything's all sorted out. We did complete these quests, and our number 1 goal now is going to be trying to get to a city. So the good news is we do have a city that's relatively close to us. The bad news is the Dead King may end up targeting it, and if he does, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the Dead King can be in that location likely within 1 turn. Now here's the thing, we do have a little bit of leeway here. I can get to that city, get into the city, the Dead King on his next turn will activate and target a city, could potentially target the city we're in, but won't move until the next turn, meaning we'll have 2 movement phases in order to get out of there. And even if we really needed it, we could use the Astrolabe over here to get the 3rd one, but still, that's not bad. I think we'll be okay, and then that won't cause us to have to enter any type of combat or deal with anything nasty. What I'm going to try to do is get to the city, cash in the quest, and then kind of do a little bit of a run around to get as close to maybe the back end of the Dead King, so that we can maybe go after trying to retake this fallen city from him by using one of our talisman, because we haven't done that yet, and I think that'd be cool to do once we've powered up. We're also, when we get to the city, going to want to try to spend a bunch of money when we're there to really boost our stats on top of all the quest turn-ins we're going to do. But let's go ahead and start this turn fresh. So the first thing we got to do is figure out what we're doing for movement. And we know our movement right now is 6 and 3. So first off, we're not going to be able to get there by moving cautiously. It's just not going to happen. We're going to have to take the normal movement of 6 to get there. So that's going to cause us to have to roll a number of dice. And that's going to be, well, I guess it's not going to be the greatest, but we don't wander. So there's no worry there, because if our Astrolabe still being in existence, We're still fine with any wandering that may or may not occur. So let's see how this pans out. All right, so let's go ahead and have our party move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I could have gone much shorter route. I just decided to use all 6 for fun and just run around the mountains. Didn't have to do that. I do have climbing gear, so I could have gone straight through. But regardless, I got 6 movement. I can get there no problem. So I've gone ahead and I've moved normally. So by doing so, I need to roll green, blue, and yellow. So all of my dice need to be rolled. And in this particular turn, I still have the helpful commoner, so -1 to all my rolls. Hopefully this pans out really nicely. So the Guardian's going to go ahead and roll. I got a 10, I got a 3, and a 7. So those aren't the best results ever, but hey, we found some gold. Gold is good, especially when we're heading into a city. Okay, Summoner, we need you to get a decent roll here. Okay, we got a 5, we got a 6, and we got a 4. All right, so now that we know exactly what we rolled on each of these dice, let's resolve them individually. So first we'll start with I guess we'll do gold first. Wandering or navigation we can do last because that's the one we don't care as much about because it won't affect us as much. So the first one we'll do is the explore die. So we got a 3 here, and a 3 -1 is definitely a victory for the Guardian, and that means we found some gold on our travels. 2 gold, in fact, which is going to turn into 4 thanks to our wonderful enhancifier. So we're going to be up to 16 gold. Like I said before, we are getting extremely rich really quick, and this is really starting to pay off. That item is huge. Really going to help us out later on. We come over here to the Summoner, who is a 6 on the roll. -1 is a 5, and is just shy of being able to get some gold, but still has 15. So now both these characters have quite a bit. Coming over here, we've got the survival die. This means we're going to be talking about food. I absolutely failed that. So we're going to have to consume our last little bit of food that I currently have for rations. So now we have no food remaining. For the Guardian, coming over to the Summoner has no food and cannot eat. So because of this, we mark the first section of the starving track. So you'll see here to the left of the 2, there's a starving track with 3 different icons. So essentially just mark it off. You can exit off, do whatever you want. It's got an energy reminder that this first level of starving affects energy. The next level will affect something else and something else. Once you get to the very end, you die. So you do not want to be starving for too long, and I'm not too concerned because we are on a city, and my intention is to get us back to full health once we get in there. The first thing we have to know about starving is there is some interesting rules regarding it and how starving actually affects the players. And I think we should go over that because it's the first time we've ever actually encountered it in this game. So I'm going to pull this straight into the rule book so you guys can see, but there's different levels for the different nasty levels of starving. And you can see it says if a player fails their survival roll and doesn't have enough food for the turn like we do right now, they begin to starve. And we can share food amongst ourselves, but if we both don't have food to share, that doesn't really help. And we don't, otherwise I would. It says after the skill phase during the game turn, you cannot eat, which is right now. Mark the first of 3 levels on the starving meter, which I just did. So you can see starving turn number 1. Your hero cannot use energy and loses 2 health maximum and current at the end of each game turn. So at the end of my game turn, then I will lose that 2 health and... Oh, that's actually really nasty. 2 energy and 2 health. Oh, sorry, it says my hero cannot use energy and loses 2 health maximum and current at the end of each game turn. That's really bad. So here's the thing. We're going into... This is another piece of this. We also went to a city where there currently is an invasion. So as per normal, when we get to the event phase, which is before the end of our game turn, we're going to have to deal with the invasion here. And I did this on purpose because it's another quest we can potentially turn in this massive combo I'm trying to get. But... we're going to go ahead and try to succeed at this. As soon as our turn ends, then I would essentially never be able to use energy again going into the next round, and I lose 2 health. But because we're in a city, I'm planning to defeat this and then also heal up, and eat some food so that we don't have to deal with that. It says right here to end the starving condition, purchase or gain food equal to your food rating and immediately consume it. In doing so, you will lose 1 level of the starving condition. If you are still starving next turn, consume your food rating in food again to shrug off the effect entirely. when you completely come back from starving, you gain an original maximum health back. So I'm going to have to do that once we go ahead and defeat this invasion, but now you have a better idea as to how it works. So the first time you can't use energy going into your next turn on the first turn after you gain starving and you lose 2 health. The next turn your hero cannot roll the survival skill, which is nasty, and continues to lose health at the end of each game turn, so that's bad. And that means, well, it's just bad all the way around. And then 3, you die. So that's not good. Nobody wants that. All right, so that's essentially that. Let's get moving. So the first thing here is, what were we talking about here? We just did the food one, so we know that we can't deal with it. We consumed it on the Guardian. We couldn't do it on the Summoner. We've marked it. Good. We're moving on to this Wander result. This Wander would be a 4 minus 1 is a 3, so we succeeded, but that's fine. We just basically... well, half of us had to succeed to not wander, but we don't have to worry about wander with the Astrolabe anyway. So we can move on from the movement and skill phase, and because we ended our movement on a quest, then we're gonna go ahead and deal with that particular quest right now. All right, so we got an invasion to deal with. So it says here, and we've dealt with an invasion before, so it's very similar. It does say here, select the first encounter you find in open circumstance slots and place it on top of this quest. So we're going to go up here to the circumstance row, and raiders are the only ones. So these are the ones we're going to be going afterwards. Sadly, they're humanoid, so neither my summoner, which has a real favor, or favorite opponent as a creature, my guardian's favorite opponent is spirit, so that's not going to give us any wonderful bonuses, but the raiders are who we're going to be facing in this. It also says here, a horde of these opponents are invading the Orcish encampment. Be careful, these opponents are dangerous. So that's going to be added into effect as well. So what I'm going to do is, and it says we can continue to choose to fight more waves of them if we'd like to basically gain more power cards, but I don't want to waste too much time. I'd like to just rip through them, and I think they're actually going to put up a decent fight. The other thing I want to make mention of is the fact that we just started this round, and I forgot to use camp gear to heal me up. So I better do that going into this fight, or I'm going to regret it. So my actual energy is at full, because at the beginning of this game round, I would have gained 1 energy and 1 health for camp gear. So I don't want to forget about that, because it's going to come in handy when we fight. So we are luckily at full going into this battle. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up this battle mat with these stats, get some dice handy, and we're going to begin some combat with the Raiders. Alright, so I think I got this all sorted out. So the Raiders are up top here. The Raiders are 16 and 14. That's +1 damage, and you might be wondering where that +1 damage came from. It's because when it is a dangerous opponent, as it says it is based on this invasion card, we go to the next game difficulty level. So it's going to be +5 vitals per hero and an extra damage dealt. So technically, this 16 and 14 is going to go up by quite a bit. So we're going to be going ahead and adding 5 to this and then another 5, which is crazy. So that's going to bring it to 21 and 26 for, because essentially you're just bumping up by 10 for both. So you're going to be at 26. That's really high, and 24. So all of a sudden this thing was much easier looking, just got a lot worse really quick. So there's that. The other thing that I did was I went ahead with the Guardian, and I changed up all the numbers to match up, because as you can see there's kind of a watermark behind each one of these to say which of these particular skill numbers they pull from. This is going to be for my reference, and I will talk more about these as we use them through combat, but I just wanted to make sure they were accurate and up to date, and then we'll talk about them more. And same over here, because we had some adjustments happen to our abilities way in the last couple of videos and haven't had combat for a bit, so some of these numbers were off, so it's always good to recheck these, make sure they're in line. The other thing I did, which technically I should have done just before we jumped into combat, but I'm going to go ahead and switch it now. You are allowed to trade items back and forth, so I moved the potion over to the summoner. And technically you can't trade items during combat, but I'm doing this kind of in retrospect because the summoner was always my weakest character, so it should have had the potion. So I'm just doing that so I'm prepared for this. The other thing is we pulled the Raiders from the circumstance track, leaving an empty circumstance slot, and we always have to replenish. So let's go ahead and hope. Hey, we got a really pathetic lesser water elemental, so we can use this. Thank goodness we got something that we can potentially use. The summoner can pull this thing, and we can hopefully have it do something. It doesn't look like it does all that much. It's pretty weak. Actually, it's pretty terrible. Okay, interesting. I don't think it's all that great. it would have been a better card to fight against. But we'll know that it's here, so that's good. So I could potentially summon that, and at least it's if anything, it's going to be something we can you know, have take damage, I guess, instead of. Now the other thing we also have is technically during combat here we also have the Helpful Commoner. So this is the first time the Helpful Commoner has been part of our crew, and does have its own health and combat rating as well. So you can see there's no energy rating on the Commoner; it's just straight health. It does say that. This individual will become, I think it says, where does it say here? Keep this card, double rewards. There it is in the middle there. So it says, this group gains -1 skill rolls. The bonus affects skills. The commoner becomes a target in combat and attacks each turn. So it's always going to be attacking every turn that it's still alive, but it's still considered an ally. So I can use abilities that I have with my Guardian, like my Defend and things like that, to try to keep this commoner alive. And I'm going to probably be doing that because I really want to, once we're finished stopping the invasion here at the city, my plan is to basically cash in this, and this once I complete this. I don't want the commoner to die, and that's really important because I won't get that double bonus. So we're going to put the commoner here so we don't forget about the commoner, but very important. We also have an enchanted hourglass that allows us to come back from the dead. We have angel board that allows us to come back from the dead, so we should be okay, but I don't want to be burning them on a silly battle right now when I've got other things to worry about. But this is going to be tough. Well, now we've got a plan for our party, and the plan is Clarissa, the Guardian, is going to be doing the Reflected Assault. And the reason for that is the Reflected Assault is a extremely powerful ability that's going to allow me to protect either the Guardian or another ally, and that really, I really want that protection to be on the Helpful Commoner for whatever the Raiders end up doing. We don't have anything that can find out what they're going to do first off, so I want to protect. Plus, it's also going to reflect damage back at the Raiders for whatever they end up doing to me. On the other side of things, the Summoner, what I'm going to do is start with the Summoning Circle. And the Summoning Circle is going to allow me to grab the Lesser Water Elemental from the Circumstance Roll, bring it into my area here. And as you can see here, when the Summoner goes ahead and uses this in future turns or even during the turn, it says at rank 6, the Summoner's active summon rolls an additional 6-sided die. So even though we have a really weak elemental up here that we're going to be trying to basically bring in as an entity, it's really cool that we can actually get a Hex die, which is going to be one of these dies right here, and we can roll it to add additional damage to its attack, which already was pretty pathetic. And the cool thing is if we land a Hex, it can Hexplode, which means it can be even, it can just continue to get worse and worse for the Raiders if we get really lucky. It could be kind of fun. Then on top of that, what we're really gunning for eventually is Invocation, and we need to have Summoning Circle in effect to use this one, and Invocation uses two of my most powerful combinations of my masteries, which allow me to use Phantom Strike and Invocation together, or I should say, what does this say? Oh, sorry, it was Phantom Strike and Invocation together in order to get a really nasty combo. And that's going to be really cool later on to put some massive health damage on the Raiders. So, without further ado, we've chosen Reflected Assault. We've chosen in Summoning Circle. And then, of course, we know right off the bat the Helpful Commoner will attack for 3 because that's all it can do. So we've pretty much figured out everything we're going to do. The only thing we have left to do is figure out what the Raiders are going to do. So let's go ahead and roll this die and determine what our enemies are going to do. A Hex. Okay, so what is this going to do? This is going to be nasty. This actually could be a perfect timing for what just happened. So we got a 6, so that's going to land into this bucket right here. So it's a single target health. If this damage is reduced, another target suffers this attack. Now that's if this damage is reduced. So the damage isn't technically being reduced if I'm reflecting it back at this particular group of Raiders. It's still inflicting the same amount of damage. It's just being reflected back at the Raiders. I'm not actually knocking the amount of damage down. So because of that, I think I'm safe to go ahead and do this. So this is a single target health. So it's going to be going after one of our 3 allies or heroes. And because it's a single target health, we have to roll our target die to determine which one is going to be hit. So it could be our Helpful Commoner, it could be the Guardian, could be the Summoner. So let's go ahead and roll a die. So the Guardian's going to roll. Got a Hex. That's extremely high, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the highest roll. Yeah, so it looks like the Guardian's going to be targeted, but that's okay. Commoner's going to roll, got an 8, and the Summoner will roll, got it. Oh, the Summoner also got a Hex. So we have to continue rolling until a break is found. So 8 on the Guardian and 3 on the Summoner. So it is the Guardian in the end. Okay, So the cool thing is that I chose Reflected Assault, and this is where it really comes in handy. So we are going to be able to do something really nasty, because this thing is hitting me for 6, or would have hit me for 6. And so what I'm going to be doing here is just reading this so that we don't miss anything. But it says, the Guardian reflects damage she or an ally has suffered this round. The damage is defended by Reflect Assault rank plus Defend rank. And the total damage is reflected back. So our total amount we could block is like 16, and we're only needing to block 6. So we got that, no problem. It's reflected back at the raiders, and it's piercing, so they cannot stop it. So technically, if you were going to go ahead and write it down, you could write it in here because it can't be blocked. It's going straight through. If you choose to reflect damage an ally has suffered, you take any remaining damage they would have suffered. That's not going to apply. So that's if your reflected assault total is not strong enough. At rank 5, the target of this mastery gains a +3 boost to their next activation rank. So we are going to get that right now, which is awesome. So whatever we end up using in the next turn here, we get a +3 boost. So I'm going to put big asterisks around this thing just to make sure that we don't forget about that. We got to figure out where we're going to use it. And yeah, those asterisks should help us. And then we got the, if the Guardian fails to block any damage, her next cleave deal, well, in this case, we are blocking damage. So we've reflected 6 damage going back at the Raiders. So let's go ahead now. And actually, I just realized it's 7 because they have a +1 on damage. So actually, we're reflecting 7 damage back at them. So that's actually wonderful. So we've hit them for 7 damage. That's fantastic. Now on top of this, we still have the Summoner to go, and we still have the Helpful Commoner. So the first one we know for sure, the Helpful Commoner is going to hit for 3. So we might as well just write down 3. So right off the bat, between our Guardian and the Commoner, that's 10 damage. So that's basically the boost that it got from the easy upgrade on the difficulty track we've already dealt with. Coming over to the Summoner, we got to decide how we're going to do this, but we already know we've chosen our action. We can't change it. So it says summon an open encounter starting this round and continuing for a number of rounds equal to half the summoning circle rank, which we've already done the math here, +1. It's 5. So this actual summon is going to come from the circumstance area, lesser water elemental. It's going to join the fray. It's going to get a 5-round counter on it, which I'm going to put using a die. And let's see what happens now. So it says the encounter attacks your opponent. So that's awesome. It happens right now. Roll the action die to determine its action. Okay, I'll do that. So let's roll this to find out what happens. Ooh, 5. Okay, is that good? Group energy and single target health. Okay, so we are going to end up hitting the... wow, that's going to be... He's hitting energy and health. That's fantastic. What else is going to happen here? Let's see. So the encounter attacks your opponent. Roll the action die to determine its action. We did. If the summoner uses mastery while already summoning, we haven't done that, so we'll skip that for now. Discard the encounter dies. Its duration ends. At rank 6, the summoner's active summon rolls an additional 6-sided die as extra damage. Here we go. So we get to roll an additional 6-sided die as extra damage on top of this, because we are at rank 6. That's so cool. So this is good. This is really good. And it could HEXplode. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? Ah, it's so good. Okay, so I don't know what's going on with this playthrough, but man, I am hitting everything in terms of the HEXplode stuff. So if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sorry guys, I have to look this up because this, I was not expecting to actually land that. Where is this? HEXploding dice, 39. I just have to look in the rulebook really quick, because I want to make sure that it's just like, okay, so certain dice can HEXplode when you roll, well, actually, I'll show you guys, because I'm sure you guys are interested. It says right here. So certain dice can HEXplode when you roll maximum on the dice. When this happens, you may roll again and add the new result to the total. There's no limit to how many times you can re-roll a HEXploding die. So basically, if my understanding is correct, I just rolled a 6 on top of, this is crazy. Okay, so this basically picked which of my attacks I did. So I did it's going to be a 3 attack coming from this lesser water elemental, but now with this, it's a 6. And we get to roll another one, and it could continue to HEXplode. So this thing could just keep on happening, which would be fantastic, and I'm sure you guys are waiting to see if it does. Let's cross our fingers and hope. No, it finally stopped. Okay, so all right, so we got, in terms of damage, we have 3. It's going to hit the group energy and single target health. It's going to hit energy and health. So it's going to be 3, 4, 5, and then the 6 is 11. So it's going to lose 11 in damage and 11 in energy. That's crazy. Crazy powerful. So this whole round went really well. I'm just going to make sure I didn't forget anything here. We've done the raiders, we've done all of our characters, so now let's just go ahead and resolve all of the final totals. So essentially what we've got is 21 total damage in 1 turn, which is insane. So we've got 5 left. Only 5. And coming over here to the energy, an absolute massive hit in terms of energy. I was thinking all the time like these monsters are a real big threat. I'm thinking my guys are pretty strong. Can you guys imagine what's going to happen when we turn these quests in and bolster our guys even more? Like, this is going to become outrageous. Although I did get lucky and get the hex die, so that won't happen every time. Okay, so we've resolved now that particular part of combat. Or this is essentially the resolution phase of the combat. So now what we'd be doing is we're going to go ahead and we're going to move to the next combat route to decide what we want to do. And we want to kill this thing. So what do we want to do that would make the most sense? Oh, and one other thing I just forgot, guys, and I do apologize for this. It does cost energy to do what I did all the way across the board. So this one didn't cost energy for the raiders. No energy is required for the helpful commoner. 2 was required from the guardian for this particular attack. So we got to drop our energy down to 6 because we can't just continue to do it all the time for free. And then the summoner used summoning circle, which is a 1. So we're going to drop this down to 7. But still, we're doing fantastic. And here's hoping it continues to be like that. So for the Guardian here, I think now that we know we have a +3 boost, you know, it might make sense. Well, at the end of the day, I still want to protect the helpful commoner, and it would be silly not to do the reflected assault again. I might as well do it again because it's going to allow me to protect any ally. I could also use shielded ally as well, but I'm going to go ahead and continue to use reflected assault because it's just a massive combination. So I'm going to choose the Reflected Assault again for the Guardian. We know the Helpful Commoner will attack for 3. Even just between those two, it should be enough to kill the Raiders. The Summoner now could potentially use Invocation, which is going to be just mass overkill at this point. But hey, we might as well do it just for fun. So we'll say those are the 3 we're going to do. And then we're going to go ahead now and roll to find out what happens with this guy. So let's do this. Oh, the other thing too is technically our water elemental ticks from 5 down to 4 because we only have 4 more rounds left before we have this elemental basically destroys itself. And we got that number from this right here, if you guys didn't remember from before, the summoning duration. There's also a summoning health area here, but our health is 6. I guess we could keep track of it in there, so we'll put a 6 in there. Okay, so starting with, well, the roll for the Raiders, essentially, we got to find out what they're going to do. Also, I guess, technically, we got to find out what's going to happen with the Lesser Water Elemental, because this is now an ally for us as well. So, I guess we have to roll for this thing, because we got to find out what it's going to do. So, let's roll for it and figure out what's going to happen. Now, here's the thing. Knowing full well, it says, at rank 6, the summoner's active summon rolls an additional 6-sided die. Okay, cool. But what it said here somewhere in the middle, if the summoner uses this mastery while already summoning, the encounter automatically becomes a single target for the round, and the summoner may also use Phantom Strike. She does not summon a new encounter. Discard the encounter after it dies. Oh, okay, so basically you're just saying, please target the water elemental. That's all you're really doing in that particular case. But that's a really cool tactic when we get into really nasty bosses and things like that, but I think we're going to clear these raiders up pretty quick. So let's go ahead and just have the water elemental roll to find out what will happen with it. We got a 2, so it's going to land in the group health piercing, so it's going to go after an attack here. It won't be anything too major. It'll be a pretty pathetic attack, but actually just between the water elemental and the helpful commoner, it's probably enough to kill this thing. So now we'll go ahead and roll for the Raiders to find out what the Raiders are doing. The Raiders got a hex again. Wow, this is the exact same thing. So again, single target health. And so we have to find out who that target's going to be. So the target in this case, we're going to roll for the Guardian first. We got an 8 for the helpful commoner next. We got a 5 for the water elemental. We got a 10, so the elemental's the target, and the summoner got a 4. So it is going to be the water elemental. We can now resolve what we're going to be doing. So we know that this Raider's going to attack for 6, plus 1 is 7. So that's going to be 7 damage. If we come over here, I've actually noticed I've wiped a whole bunch of stuff I got to clean up. But anyway, Reflected Assault, as we know, blocks all damage towards an ally, and this is an ally for us, so the water elemental that was targeted. So we're going to be blocking the whole 6 damage that is being targeted against us. So this particular attack here is going to... Just trying to think how this is going to resolve. Actually, yes, it will resolve with every... Okay, so this happens. We block it with Reflected Assault. The Reflected Assault, it gets it. We get a 3+ boost on this as well to their next action rank. So that's going to basically bolster this to obscene levels. So regardless, we're okay. It pushes the 7 damage back at the Raiders. So the Raiders will be taking another minus. So we're at 5 with the Raiders, but it will be taking a -7, which is going to be enough to kill it. But we have to resolve the whole combat round until the end. So, of course, because I chose Reflected Assault, I lose 2 energy. So this is going to drop down to 4. Good job, Guardian. You did your thing. We're also going to put -3 for the Helpful Commoner hitting. We're going to put, we got Group Piercing 1. So it's just 1 damage. It's really not that great for the water elemental. And then we come over here, Invocations, what we chose. We got to spend an energy. So this is going to drop down to 6. And we've now got, what does it say? May only be used within the summer, blah, blah, blah. Deals health damage to the opponent equal to Phantom Strike. Plus, so that's Phantom Strike is 8. Plus this is 10, which is insane. Rank plus twice the level of her current summon. So my current summon level is 1, so that's 2. So it's just a 2 added into it. Plus twice the level of her current summon. So I think, is that 20? I guess that would be 20 total if I'm not getting that messed up. At rank 5, the summoner may choose which action or summoner makes this round. Oh, that would have been cool. So right now, actually, I wouldn't have rolled. So I apologize for that. Because I used Invocation, technically at rank 5, I could actually just pick whichever one I want. But at this point, it's just mass overkill. We've got, it would be -20, so it's an insane amount of damage. And again, we didn't even get touched. We didn't take a single point of damage. We just crushed this. So dead, crushed, destroyed. Goodbye, Raiders. So coming over here, we dealt with the energy. The water elemental, is going to disappear because we've used it now. We don't get to keep it, sadly. The Helpful Commoner survived because the Guardian did a good job shielding the Commoner. So protected the Commoner all the way back to this particular spot. We are not going to continue fighting waves of this thing, even though it could be really easy to do so. I want to move the play through along. If I was playing this off camera, I would continue. I'll just say that right now because that was super easy. But what we're going to do next is, now that we've actually completed this invasion quest, we can take this token off the board. We can take this invasion, we can flip it over like so, and we've now completed 1, 2, and a bunch of quests under this arc. All right, before we move into the city turn, I do want to go ahead and remind everyone that we gained +1 gold after the battle because we were pushed and forcefully moved up to the easy level because of the dangerous condition of those raiders that we dealt with. So we are going to gain 2 gold because of our wonderful enhancifier. So all of our characters are going to go to, well, they're going to just basically go up by 2. So that's going to be 18 gold here for Clarissa. And the summoner is going to be at 17 gold. So shopping is definitely something that I'm excited to do here, if we can get to it. The other thing that's crazy is I tossed the Raiders card and totally forgot about the group award. That's fantastic, right? So everyone in the group gets 6 coins and 3 food. Why is that good? Because we are lacking in the food department. So what's going to end up happening is we get the 3 food, so I can actually bump my rating here up 3. So this is going to go all the way back up to here, which isn't at my max, but it's something. And then over here, my 3 food is going to go 1, 2, and let's see, 1, 2, and 3. We got to remember here we've got this. Now, in order to get rid of that, we have to actually bump our food level all the way up to our max, which would be 10. For this character, consume the whole row, and then that will erase the 1 level worth of starvation, and then we can start going. So we are going to have to spend some money with the summoner gaining some rations at some point. That's going to be something we're going to have to deal with. We also gain as a group award 6 coins, which doubles because of our enhancifier. So that is going to be 12 per character, which is going to jump us up to 30 gold here for Clarissa, which is absolutely insane. And then we're going to come over here to this one. Now this is where this thing is paying off big time. So it's 19, so 29 if I'm not mistaken there. 17 to 29, yeah, that sounds right. Wow, okay. I mean, that is good. I'm liking this. Okay, so the Raiders card is gone. We've now satisfied the group awards section. That's out of here. We are now in the town. So because we were in the town, we're going to go ahead here real quick and we'll talk about the cities. So we are currently in number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So when we're in number 3, we've actually run into Roktu, the encampment, led by the Orcish shaman. The orcs are complicated people. Well, we apparently just saved them, so they really like us. They are resilient and attuned to the spirits of the land. You may purchase handy elixirs for 2 gold here. How expensive are they normally? Handy elixirs are 3. Okay, so a little cheaper. They regen 3 health and energy for 3 combat rounds, or 6 health and energy outside of combat. Ooh, that's nice. That can be useful. Okay, so let's take a look at the top of the cities card. So we got skip the circumstance phase 1 in the city. We know that. The group may choose to pay 1 gold total to heal all lost health and energy while in a city. You know what? I think that makes sense. And it's only 1 gold total. So technically the summoner is the one that's going to spend the most money on rations and stuff. So we'll have the... Ooh, actually then in that case we'll have the Guardian drop to 29. The Guardian's going to be nice, and because it won't be spending as much money on stuff as the summoner will have to, in order to heal up. So now we're going to bump our vitals back to max. So that's good. So like this, and then we'll come over here. And of course it's 1 gold across the entire party to get that all the way back up. So yeah, we could have waited for the camp gear and stuff to do it, but you know, 1 gold's 1 gold. It's not that bad. All right, moving on. We've got heroes may purchase gear items, and the group may turn in all completed quests. This is what we've been waiting for, so we've got so many quests to pull in. The other thing, too, is technically at this point, we've now completed bringing the Helpful Commoner all the way over to this city. So we're going to have to remember the fact that we keep this card until we return to the city. So that's right now. We're going to be tossing this. If the Helpful Commoner is still alive, which it is, you'll gain double the rewards for each quest you turn in. So we'll put this right here, and I'm not forgetting this. We're going through every single one of these quests, and we're doubling up everything. So this is where it gets fun. So first off, we're going to go ahead and flip this one. This was one of the first ones we did here. This was as an aid quest. I shouldn't say this was one of the first ones we did. But this is going to give us a power card and 3 gold. What's going to happen here is we're turning in this aid quest. This aid quest is going to give us a power card and 3 gold. We have the Enhancifier. That's going to make this 6 gold. Then, once that's all sorted out, the Helpful Commoner is going to double it to 12 gold, and we're going to get an extra power card. So it's going to be 2 power cards and 12 gold. That's craziness. I feel like I found quite the powerful combination here. So we're up to 41 gold. That's outrageous. We're gonna come over here to the summoner. This is gonna be 29 and then 12, so 31, 41. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then we're gonna pull 2 cards. We'll do one at a time. One for the Guardian, then one for the summoner, back and forth. So here we go. Guardian is first. Defend and First Mastery, +1. So each of these guys are going to go up +1. So we're going to have both of these middle ones go up. So this is going to go up to 6, and this one's going to go up to 10. Okay. 6 and 10. All right. So that's the first card for the Guardian. For the Summoner, Energy +2. That's good. That's a great one to get on the Summoner because, well, the Summoner summons things and the energy is awesome. So when it's going to be on the Vitals here, it also says it raises the current and the total, which means it's going to raise the total to 10, and that means the Vitals go up. And this is where people were asking, oh, does the Vitals actually go up when the Maximums go up? Yes, they do. They do when you get power cards. So we're going to come over and grab the second card for the Guardian. It's going to be both masteries. So both of the most powerful masteries on this character are getting even more nasty. So this is going to go to 11 and 12. That's awesome. This is going to be super handy later on when we start fighting the really, really tough bosses. Okay, and then we're gonna come over here, grab for the summoner, another energy. Are you serious? What are the chances of that? That's awesome. Okay, so that's good. I'm not complaining at all because those vital ones are ones I was gonna go after anyway, so this is making life easier for me because I thought the summoner would have to spend quite a bit of money. All right, that's good. That's it. So that is going to resolve one quest turn in. Yeah, I know. That's insane, right? So this quest is now completed and can be tossed. So I'm going to throw this one aside, moving to the next one. And this is the one we just gained. This is going to be the invasion we just completed. We're turning this quest in. We get 1 power card, and because of our helpful commenter, we get 2 power cards. We're doing the exact same thing all over again. The Guardian is going to gain 2 health. So the Guardian's health stats are going to go to 13. That's awesome. These ones are really useful. Like when it hits vitals, that's awesome. That's really going to make these guys more powerful. Coming over to the summoner. Oh my gosh. It is a party for the summoner. So this is going to be a 9, 7. Let's do that. So got a 9, 7, and then a 9 and an 11. Wow, that's awesome. Now, if I was to purchase that, guys, that would cost, what just happened there would cost me 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 6. That's how much gold it would cost to do what just happened. So that's awesome. And it does say, I am amazing. So that's what the summoner is feeling like right now. Health and energy plus 1. Awesome. So we're going up in the vitals department again for the Guardian. So 14 and 9 is now where the Guardian sits for vitals. 14 and 9. And as I mentioned before, that's going to actually increase the, there's the maximums going up. Now the vitals are actually going to go up to match. 14 and 9. Wow, things are changing big time here. Okay, and the last card for the summoner for this quest, attack and defend, plus 2. Whew, that's pretty good. So that's plus 2 on each one. That's awesome. So that's going to have the Phantom Strike go to 11 and the Dimensional Shield go to 9. So 11 and 9. Wow. That's pretty powerful. And there we go. So we've done all of the power-ups for that quest. So now this invasion is going to disappear as well. We've completed that. And last but not least is the crazy quest arc. So this is where things get wild. Let's do this one last. Oh my gosh, we got so much to go through here. So I guess these ones are power cards. So this is going to be, Navigate was the first one. So it's going to be 1, 2 power cards, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 power cards per character, and then we have gold at the end. That sounds fun, right? Let's do this. Guardian's going to get Defend. You know what I might do is I might just start drawing them all out, and then I'll update all the stats because I think it's just going to be too much to go through one at a time. So we're going to get a plus 2 on Defend for Guardian, so that's good. Over here, plus 3 total, your choice, 3. Distribute this bonus between any of the following vitals, abilities, or skills. That's going to be for the Summoner. We got a both masteries plus 2 for the Guardian. We got a energy plus 3 for the Summoner. First mastery plus 2 for the Guardian. Plus 1, pick 3 of your choice for the Summoner. An Explore plus 1. Haven't seen many of those. A Defend plus 1. A Health plus 3. That's huge. Love that. Second mastery. Okay, where are we at? So we got 1 more to go. 1 more for each one. Food rating. Oh, what? Did this go? Food rating can be reduced to 0. Oh, if a hero's food rating is 0, they no longer need to consume food. My Guardian doesn't need to consume food anymore. He's just self-sustaining, I guess. That's awesome. And survival plus 1. All right, guys, let's go ahead and update this. So first off, I'll show you guys what stats I have so that you guys know everything comes out clean in the end. And I'll also show you all 6 cards openly so you can see them. Of course, I'm going to have to do a little bit of choosing on some of these. These ones here that I got for the Guardian are straightforward because I have to do what these are saying. So these are the ones that I've gained, and these are my current stats. So I'm going to go ahead right now and adjust all of them, and then we'll be right back. All right, and we're back, and all the stats have been updated. You can see here the food rank now is 1. I have a bunch of rations on my Guardian, which will definitely be transferred to the Summoner later on here in order to get rid of this starving condition, so that's awesome. So we never have to consume food again with the Guardian. I've got my vitals way up. I've got these masteries way up, like my Guardian is looking awesome. The other thing that's going to happen here is I'm going to get, to finish the Guardian off, I'm also going to gain 8, but it's going to get doubled from the enhancifier, so that's going to be 16, and then it's going to be doubled again by the helpful commoner, so that is 32. So that's going to turn this into 73. Yeah, that's crazy, right? 73 gold. I think at this point we are considered very rich in this land. That is going to complete the Guardians. Now, the next one up is the Summoner. So again, I'll show you the stats the Summoner currently has. And then I'll show you what I have for different power-ups. But I want to make mention of the fact that some of these are actually selectable by me. So some of them I'm forced to do what I have to do, which are these ones right here. Actually, these two right here are my choice. So I will be choosing what I want to do with those, but these other ones have to go into these particular buckets. So when I come back, I'll try to do my best to tell you which ones these ones landed on. All right, and the Summoner is all updated. So what I did was, of course, the ones that I had to put into certain buckets, I've done those. So those ones I had no choice on. 4 of the 6 cards for the Summoner. The other 2, I was able to split some stuff up. This one was your choice 1 for 3. So I decided to bump up health, and I bumped up health by 3. So now that one's at 14. And then I also chose to bump it up another 1 from the pick 3. So I put another 1 in there. Plus I used 2 to put 1 on Phantom Strike and 1 on Invocation to bump those up even higher. Or sorry, I didn't do Phantom Strike. I did Invocation and then I did Survival because Tempest still needs to have food in order to survive. So I wanted to make the check for survival a little easier, basically. So that's going to pretty much wrap up that. And now we need to deal with just the gold situation, which we already know is outrageous. So we're going to gain a whole bunch of gold. So 8 times 2 for the enhancifier is 16. Times 2 for the helpful commoner is 32. With the 71, it's going to be exact same result. It's going to be with the 41, it's going to turn into 73. So that's going to be the exact same result as what we got with our Guardian. So we're both just swimming in coin at this point. And we'll go ahead and mark that in. That's just an absolute ridiculous amount of coins. But at this point now, the helpful commoner is done. I don't get to keep this anymore. The helpful commoner is gone, has done its part in really helping me out. This is now also completed, so the whole arc is done. I can take that card away. These 2 quests that were part of the arc are also, we just resolved those. We have a whole bunch of empty quests everywhere, so we're going to have to re-up all the quests. So let's go ahead and do some of that right now. Let me see if I've got enough. So the only quest that I should have out there currently would be the aid quest and the bounty. So it should be this one, and it should be this tower. So this one's actually gone. It should have come off way back when I actually did it. So now we're going to flip some new quests. So we got another bounty. This one is on B, which we know we have. So B is over here, and it's number 3. So there's one right here. The next quest is an Explorer quest on B as well. This one is going to be in a river location. 3 successes are required, and it looks like it's sitting right here. So they're all seeming to pop up around me, so that's nice. And then a navigate on B. Oh my gosh, 3 B quests? Are you kidding me? So this one is, I don't know if have I run out of... Oh, that's right. This one was supposed to come off as well. So this one would now be, which tile is that going to be? That would be right here. Wow. Talk about quests dropping everywhere around me. That was like the best pile of quests I could have gotten. So that's awesome. So that's going to resolve that, and we've gone ahead and cashed in our quest. And next up, we're going to go ahead and spend a whole bunch of money. Okay, so we're going to be moving into the purchasing section of this whole thing, and we know that both of our characters have a ton of gold to spend, but you know what? I think this is where I want to turn it back to you guys, because first off, we're in a city. There's a number of things we can buy. There's a number of things we can upgrade. And I don't really want to have all the enjoyment of just spending a ton of money and not getting any feedback from you guys. For those of you that are really enjoying the playthrough and following along, I'm sure you'd like to see and be a part of some of the feedback in terms of what we actually buy in this city. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the actual city's market again on screen so you can pause it. The first thing I want to make mention of is the fact we can pick up handy elixirs for 2 gold here, so don't forget that. The other thing is I'm going to show you this whole market board again so you can actually get an idea as to the things that they sell at the market. So you can pause the screen as you need to in order to check out the different items that they have here at the market that may be useful for you. We of course also have upgrading our gear, and this is something where we can spend coins directly related to skills or abilities or vitals to basically boost our stats, and that might even be better than buying things at the market. Of course, we also have the black market, but unfortunately it is running away from us. Now, we technically have to do our buying and everything before we move the Dead King. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video in a different way than normal. Normally I would finish off at the end of a round. I'm going to end it me being in the event phase inside of the city, and we're gonna clean up, or sorry, we're not gonna clean up. We're gonna do the Dead King's activation at the start of the next video after we do some purchasing, which is all in order anyway, but I want to get your feedback. I don't want to just go willy-nilly and spend all this money on my own. So the first thing I'm gonna do is show you my Guardian board. You can see over here for my different skills, I bought once the cleave. In terms of pricing on these things, you can get a good idea as I zoom in here on the numbers around it and how much it would cost. So cleave would be an additional 5 to upgrade. Defend would start at the 4. Shielded Ally would be starting at the 6. Reflected at the 6. 3 if we want to go for Navigate upgrade. 4 for Explore, and 3 for Survival. And then if we're talking vitals, we've never done it before, so it's dirt cheap. So it's 2, and then it goes all the way around. Same thing for the summoner, exact same type of layout. So now you know the numbers because they don't change in terms of cost. The only difference would be in terms of which ones I've purchased before. So the summoning circle here, 6 is where we would start. Invocation would be a 6, so those are relatively expensive. And then the vitals here, I have purchased some vitals before on the summoner, but they're still pretty cheap. And we did purchase 1 Explore as well. So at least now you know what the vitals look like, and as well as the abilities and skills for the summoner, so you can help me make my mind up as to what we should actually be upgrading. So I'm going to leave it here with you guys. What things should we upgrade? Should we leave some money to go chasing after the black market, or should we stop running around after things now and start getting serious and start using our talisman as well to get to a city, maybe even the one the Dead King just took over, and retake it? Because I think at this point now we are strong enough. One other thing I just noticed was I didn't actually refill in the circumstance track, so let's do that. And we got ourselves some mold, so that sounds fun. So if we happen to get mold when we go through the circumstance deck later on, that could be fun. But everything is squared away at this point, so thank you so much for your support. I really look forward to your comments down below, and I really hope you guys will take the time to let me know exactly what you think we should do next, because I'm really going to use a lot of your suggestions going forward. We've got 73 gold on each hero to spend. That's a ton. Tell me what to spend it on. I cannot wait to hear your feedback. As always, everyone, thanks for watching, and keep on rolling solo.